This is the Note Closer Show, where you get the latest developments in distressed note investing and learn the secrets of how you can control millions of dollars worth of property for pennies on the dollar. Get educated and entertained by someone who has closed thousands of deals and lives to support you in achieving the same. Now, here's your host, CEO of We Close Notes, Scott Carson.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. This is Scott Carson, your host of the No Close Show. I hope you're doing wonderful this Thursday. Things are rocking and rolling here. We are excited, as always, because we have our final workshop of 2018 kicking off tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. And you would think that sometimes running a workshop in the middle of December is a bad idea. Well, it is if you would make people travel to wherever you're at. If you got to get on a plane and travel and fight traffic and take time away from family, it can be a bad thing. But our virtual workshop, my gosh, we are actually going to have our largest workshop of the last 2 years this weekend. Very excited that we've got a couple hundred people going to be on the workshop. Now, this is different than our Note Camp convention, which is more of a knowledge base of a broad variety of topics taking place. Our virtual workshop is focused solely on non-performing first liens and performing liens and that stuff. So really excited. We'll go over the 200 mark sometime today as we make sure everybody registered into our base camp and people getting the links to be able to attend for Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the last virtual note buying workshop of 2017. But today's topic is something that I see a lot of people struggle with. I see a lot of overanalyst paralysis. I see a lot of people making things much more complicated than they need to be in the note business. And I think people have to sometimes just take a deep breath and relax, which is easier said than done. This is why today's topic is all about the KISS method. Now, if you don't know what KISS is, that doesn't mean you're making out with your borrowers or your friends or families. It depends how close you are. But what I'm trying to get at is KISS stands for something very simple. Keep it simple, stupid, or keep it simple, silly. All right. It's not a complicated business. I will tell you that right now. Note business, you have a lot of moving parts. You have a lot of interesting things going on. You have a lot of different strategies, and each note deal is individual in its own nature. You may have a great reperforming happen that you thought was going to be a foreclosure. You may have a foreclosure that turns into a modification or short sale. It's going to be easy. You just don't know the way it's going to go. All right. And this is why it's very easy, especially on the front end. And I see this happen with a lot of new real estate investors, is they try to plan for everything on the front end. And there's no way you're going to be able to plan for everything on the front end. I see a lot of overanalyst paralysis. I see a lot of people trying to categorize and structure every deal from the get-go. And they often end up talking themselves out of good deals because they overanalyze everything. We saw this very easily at the Note Mastermind group a couple of weeks ago, people doing bids, and one group would come in at a price, another one would come in way, way low. And I'm like, well, why did you guys come in way, way low? Well, just because all this other stuff could happen. I'm like, yeah, but that's the likelihood of those weird outlying things happen is pretty rare. Will it happen occasionally? Yes. And this is a numbers game. The note business is definitely a numbers game out there. I mean, you're going to, reduce your risk the more you buy because you're going to be able to spread your risk over multiple assets and multiple case studies and things like that. But for new people are often like going through this really complicated, difficult ROI calculation thing. You got to have an ROI calculator. I'm not going to lie to that. I'll cover that in a second. But if you are overanalyzing or trying to figure out exactly what your ROI is going to be down to the penny, and you haven't even got a realtor to go by to give you true value, you don't know if it's occupied, you don't know if the utilities on, there's no reason to waste your time on that. Because honestly, the biggest filter when it comes to note investing, the biggest filter besides the state that it's in, is if it's occupied or vacant, hands down. All right. If it's occupied, you have a lot more exit strategies. Okay. If it's vacant, you know what? You're going to foreclose, deed in lieu. That's about it. And turn around and sell as an REO. That's roughly it. And if it's a vacant asset, you're probably not going to have the borrower fight you. Okay. I heard somebody say that they had only performed like one foreclosure in their years because instead of foreclosing, they were giving the borrowers cash for keys, which is great. Deed in lieu, bribing borrowers to walk away. That's not a bad habit. That's not a bad thing to do. What you have to realize, though, is if you haven't even bought the asset, you don't even know what the condition of the property is, and then you are literally running every scenario under God's green or blue skies, not green skies. That'd be weird. It's not St. Patrick's Day, but anyway, you get what I'm saying. Is you're overanalyzing. Okay, some of the basic things that we like to do. Okay, and this is not everybody agrees with it. And that's completely fine. The basic things that you need to keep in mind is, yes, you need to know what your vendor costs are going to be. Okay. You need to know what your servicing costs are going to be. Okay. You need to know what the taxes are going to be. Okay. Those are all things that are important in your bottom line. Okay. But the thing you also keep in mind, look, if it's occupied, you're going to probably have a 50% chance to get it reinstated or modified. Okay. If it's occupied. Okay. Then the other half is going to be some sort of foreclosure or exit the borrower from it. Okay. And I see people that are adding foreclosure costs and also stuff. What I do is I lump a lot of stuff in and just give an average. But I see people taking that average and then adding other costs on top of it. So let's talk about the basic cost. Let's talk about the things you got to realize to keep it simple. Obviously, if you're going to foreclose, you got to figure roughly average foreclosure costs. Okay. You got to figure out insurance costs on these. Okay. Those are the two most important. And then taxes for a year. But oftentimes, if you're going to sell the asset off, and it doesn't have a lot of taxes, I just figure in paying taxes out of the REO proceeds. Okay, the REO proceeds. Someone has an asset, let the REO sale take it. Now, if they're behind and I'm going to have to pay something, I have to figure that in. That's going to reduce my bid by that amount. But what people are doing is they are taking their bids and they're taking the high prices that some of these sellers are offering up, and then they're calculating their costs, and it doesn't make any sense, which I agree on the front end. If you're paying above 60% of current market value, and if you're still in a negative, if the borrower's in a negative equity position, you're not going to make any money. It's going to be a single-digit return. This is where you have to change where your focus is. You have to change where you target assets. And I see this every day. I've seen this on Bigger Pockets today. I just had a conversation with somebody back and forth. Oh, yes, there's a lot of people saying there's no product. Well, there's plenty of product. You just got to go fishing. You got to go different watering hole, okay? That's why I'm wearing my Costa hat today. You got to go fishing in a different hole. You got to get out versus standing on the pier. And so many people are afraid to walk out into the pier or actually wade out into the business, as I like to say, or jump on a boat and go somewhere else to go fishing. It's just hilarious. Oh, I'm only gonna do like 4 or 5 hedge funds. Well, that's great. You're limited to what they want, and they're the well-known sources for assets out there. Guess what? You're gonna be fighting every Tom, Dick, and Harry fisherman trying to make things simple or trying to find deals. So this is why the KISS method is simple. Keep it simple, silly. And there's no reason to run 20 different scenarios on the front end when you don't even have a true value, when you don't even have an occupancy on those things, okay? And a lot of people get so scared of countering down. Look, countering is a normal habit in this business. And what do I mean by countering? Well, you make an indicative offer based on what you can find online, all right? And then that gives you time while you're letting the seller review your bids to go back and pull more information, okay? To pull true values, to call the utilities departments, okay? But if you run this big, complicated ROI calculator and you don't have those two basic information, is it occupied or a true value? All you're doing is just running air. All you're doing is just wasting time getting stressed out over a strategy that doesn't make sense. Now, this is why it's important. This is why we try to only focus on occupied assets. This is why we do our dangdest, okay? Trying to keep it simple. If it's occupied, great. There's usually less work. If it's vacant, you're going to have work needed. And does it happen 100% of the time where we're accurate? No. We still find, like I've got 4 assets right now. We thought we're occupied, power's on, they're vacant, which is fine. We're going to go out, secure the assets. We're going to work with the borrowers to either do cash for keys or have them, sign over their property in a deed in lieu status and move around and sell those assets off. But if you aren't pulling the trigger, if you aren't doing that information in the front end, you're trying to run over calculation, you're overcomplicating the business. Okay. Now, some things that if you're a brand new investor, there's things you need to know. This is a list of things You obviously need to talk to your servicing company, find out what their a la carte fees are. You need to talk to collateral company. Somebody's going to file stuff for you and get their cost of doing business. What's it cost to record things like that. You need to reach out to an insurance company, get a bid, whether it's reiguard.com or Ross Diversified Insurance, who's Ed Bobkis over there is a buddy of ours. We use both. Again, a bid for insurance. One will be cheaper, but then one will also be a little bit more, time saving. So take a look at those things. Your servicing costs. What's it cost for you to do? Do you need to have somebody in-house like we do with Jen, who's handling a lot of the borrower outreach and coordinating with their servicers and the previous server to get things transferred over? But that can be overwhelming in itself. Then you add in the whole of raising capital, and you're like, oh my gosh. Just one of the biggest things I can tell people to do is just chill out. All right. Work through one strategy, work through a case study, and work to implement that. Not the easiest thing to do, and I'm not picking on anybody, but an ROI calculator is extremely important, and I have one for myself. Okay, now I'm going to see here if we got any comments, because I'm sure we're going to get some comments from people on this one. Implement that. All right, so I'll cover those in a second. Look, so what I do is I figure in, okay, give me a rough market value of the house. Give me your estimated pricing. Okay. And then what I do is take their, if it's occupied, I take their existing P&I. Hopefully it's less than market rent. Okay. Because if it's higher than market rent, they're going to probably want to keep their existing payment. Now, I'm sorry, if their existing payment is higher than market rent, they're going to want to probably adjust it down because they're looking at, I can move out and find someplace cheaper. But if market rent is higher, great. They're going to probably want to keep their existing payment. So taking their existing P&I, principal and interest, not the full PITI, but PI times 12 months divided by your estimated purchasing price. And your purchasing price is of the note. That's off of the unpaid balance, okay? If they want 55% of value, you've got to figure out what's that 55% converted to the UPB. Is it still a good deal for you? Are you overpaying for the asset? Then taking 12 months of payments and figuring what you're paying for the note is a rough idea when it comes to calculating your quick ROI, okay? It is not a science. This is why I want that number to roughly be in the 30s if possible, so that when I do have some expenses, it ends up netting down to about 20, 24. Now, what I'm not figuring in also is that we're trying to collect extra from the borrower, or we're trying to get some skin in the game, whether it's $100 extra a month or $200 extra a month. Those numbers go in my calculations after the fact, but I want to base my numbers 12 months of P&I divided by the purchase price to equal at least somewhere around a 30-35% yield, and then whittle it back down. Now, that's unoccupied. If it's vacant, I know I'm not going to get it reinstated that way. So I've got more expenses. I've got foreclosure costs. I've got eviction costs. I'm going to have some repair costs, okay? I'm also going to have to throw in some taxes on that and have to pay that versus an occupied where taxes and insurance should be being paid by the borrower, okay? So that's why if we find out it's vacant, my ROI calculator changes. I have to be much more strategic in it. If it's a true non-performing note, do I have to foreclose? Is it a longer foreclosure process? Is the market rebounding back up? And that's one thing that can save you, too. If it's in an appreciating market, you have to talk to your realtors to find out what's going on in the market. If the market's appreciating 5-10% like it has in Florida for years or other things like that, that will save you missing on every little bit, nibble and bite that could happen if you aren't paying attention. All right. But this is why occupied is really the game, because if you're getting an occupied asset and they can make the payments and they're working, you're going to not have to worry about foreclosure costs. Don't get me wrong, you still will have liars. I get that, okay? But this is why it's important to talk to your service. Hey, what's it going to cost me to foreclose? Give me a rough estimate. And this is why we like to throw a rough estimate if it's in a state outside, if it's a 12-month or less foreclosure time, or less than 12 months, we figure a $3,500 average cost to foreclose, okay? And then we figure in somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500 in servicing costs, okay? Now, if it's in a faster foreclosure state, I'm not going to add, if I'm buying in North Carolina, I'm not going to add Florida foreclosure costs. I'm going to reduce it down, okay? Then I would figure in roughly, like I say, maybe $2,000 or $3,000 total between foreclosure and servicing costs to get that taken care of. Now, I'm still going to figure in taxes. I'm still going to figure in, am I going to put some work in the property? This is why I'm not going to be going above 55% or 60% the most for assets. So you start paying above 60, there's no skin in the game if you've got to foreclose and rehab the property. There just isn't, okay? There just isn't. So if you've got any questions on this and you're watching the Facebook Live, please ask, okay? Joshua asks here, what is the best way to buy highly discounted notes? Well, highly discounted notes are going to be notes that are upside down, where they owe more than the property's worth, and going direct. That's the only really feasible way to get a good discount, is going direct to the banks, the asset managers, the people that actually own this. And I'm not talking about the chop shops out there. I'm not talking about the hedge funds that are paying 70 cents a dollar to win a bid, because then they can't sell it below 70 because they're going to take a loss, okay? You've got to go direct, and this is where I really see the banks and the asset manager. And I see people are understanding that. I see the Adam Adams out there who's like, oh, lo and behold, this does make more sense. The Wayne Snells and some of the other guys out there, the Jay Tenenbaums, the people out there that are buying assets some are great students. They understand why we've been preaching this for years. Yes, we've been spoiled over the last 5 years with having some exchanges and hedge funds providing assets, but honestly, they're not doing the works either. They're not doing the big work, the heavy lifting, going direct to the banks either. They're relying on the hedge funds and the Wall Street companies to buy these big chunks and then, kind of parcel them all out in smaller pools. Okay. So Joshua, the best thing you can do is go direct to the bank. And one of the great things that we do on our virtual workshops, we spend 3/4 of day one going through how to buy bank direct assets. Okay. How to buy bank direct assets. Okay. Good morning, Robert. Good morning, Helga. Good morning, Donovan. Good morning, Casey. Good to see you guys out there. Thanks for joining this morning. But look, this is not a complicated process. Now, one thing you've got to keep in mind is your money costs too. So if you've got a 12% return investor or a 10% return investor, you have to figure your costs of money along the way. This is why the equity split sometimes makes better sense when you start getting up that 12% range, because if you just go 50-50, Greg, go 50-50, okay? Have them just make half the profits. Yeah, it may not be 12%, but it's at least better than you being stuck on the horn for 12% and paying them, and you may be making 3 to 5% because it's only a 17-18% yield. You want to still split it and make it worth your time. It's also important. Really good note investors are understanding what the value of the asset really is, so they know, well, I can go ahead and get the borrower to fund 30 instead of 25. We may not use that $5,000 for foreclosure costs and servicing. We may be able to get them reinstated immediately, and I can use, and it still be a good return to the investor at that $30,000 versus $25,000. But this way, I don't have to go back to the borrower, ask for money. I take that $5,000, which is technically a loan, and put it in our slush fund. They're still getting happy on a return on 30. Great. We just put $5,000 in our pocket for expenses and overhead along the way. Okay. Karina, we're excited to have you on the class tomorrow through Sunday, our last virtual note buying workshop of the year. So yeah, definitely excited to have you guys there. We got a lot of good stuff. It's been a lot of chunk today, going through finalizing, getting speakers scheduled, finalized, and kind of the itinerary. We're going to be tracking some new things this time around. And the virtual workshop is we're making a little tweak on some of the things, different than what we taught in August, definitely. So a lot of the same nuggets, but we'll also be adding some new stuff to it as well, which is great for everybody. Okay. Look, when you're brand new, it's very easy. You're going to miss something from time to time. All right. The thing is, this is a learning. It's a learning experience. You're going to learn more by doing your first note deal than you will for doing nothing, than ever going through every workshop and trying to read everything. An important facet, though, is you got to have patience. And I see some people out there struggling with patience because it's their own fault. They got to have patience. Look, I didn't become an expert at what I did in 3 months or 6 months or a year, 2 years. I'm still honing my craft on a monthly, weekly, daily basis here with things. And if I'm constantly learning and I got to be a little patient to get things done, it is what it is. Rushing into something and doing something just to pull the trigger isn't always the best thing. Okay. You've got to sometimes take a deep breath, relax a little bit, learn, go out and educate yourself, take it in, digest, and go from there. If you're constantly trying to devour everything, you don't have time to absorb what you're learning and be able to regurgitate it out into your own business. Okay. This is why I always crack up at people that are going from event to event to event to event. And if you're learning at events, when are you actually getting an opportunity to implement? Implementation is just as important as education, everybody. Okay. This is why it's important to pick up the phone and call the vendors. It's important to have a conversation. This is why it's great for us. Yeah, workshop, we bring on experts, but it's not designed to be your 100% everything. You've got to pick up the phone and call. Tell me what this is going to cost. Tell me about this. Okay. It's important to keep that in mind because we can give you a lot of great information. We've done a lot of stuff, but every deal is different. And everybody will tell you that. You try to find a cookie cutter model to what you do, and you stick to the basic cookie cutter model. But a lot of people get sidetracked with these outliers that end up sucking their time out of their business and their life, and that's not keeping it simple. Keeping it simple is like vanilla, doing the same thing over and over and over again of the same thing. That's the easiest way to make money in whatever you're doing. Okay, if you're trying to spin 5, 12 different plates, or trying to do different things and run around like a chicken with your head cut off, you're going to end up eventually either getting burnt out or losing a lot of money because you're not effective in what you're doing. And this is why we preach and preach and preach on about being focused and having, not drifting. A lot of people, if you drift, you're going to lose money every time you drift. And that's a voice of experience speaking here, everybody. There's times I've overcomplicated my business. There are times that I've not kept it simple, Scott. Okay. Should be kissing myself. Hell, that's the question. How long is our workshop each day? We go Friday, Saturdays, 9 to 5, 9 to 5:30. And then on Sunday, we'll wrap up at about 3 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock. I know that the mind can only absorb what the ass can withstand. And I'm sitting in front of a computer for 3 days, or even at a workshop for more than 3 days, it starts to get difficult after the second day and a half. So we take plenty of breaks. We like to break up the monotony. We always keep it interesting with our speakers and case studies and things like that. So this is coming on our 7th year, wrapping up our 7th year of teaching. And I like to say I don't think I've ever had a very boring workshop. Okay. You're right. Exactly. Karina says you need to do income producing activities. You do, but you also sometimes you've got to do activities to protect your income. Okay. Right around just buying doesn't make sense if you don't have back end support to do it, if you don't understand what's going on. So there's a strategy that you got to keep there. Sometimes you got to buy and then take some time back to do it. Buy and take some time back. And we're in that process right now. We've bought a lot in the last quarter, last 120 days. We're coming back to absorb what we've work through what we've bought. I mean, I had a phone call just a few minutes ago from the servicer of a COO of a national servicing company that we've bought a lot of assets that we're servicing a loan. He's like, what's it going to take for you to keep our assets, keep these here with us? I'm like, nothing. There's nothing you can do to have me keep my business with you guys. And he's like, well, why not? I'm like, listen, if you're expecting for me to keep my business with you and I've had a horrible experience with you so far, what makes you think it's going to be any better to keep my assets with you versus what the service I'm getting transferred over to Madison Management? And he's like, well, I'm not aware. I'm like, well, you should be aware when it takes you 45 to 60 days to get a hello letter out or servicing transfer out. That's unacceptable. Okay. I don't know what you guys are doing over there, but it's not a simple thing. I mean, that is a simple thing to do. That's not on anybody else's fault. That's on your fault solely. And now you're costing me money. Now you're not making it easy for me to make money. You're making it difficult because now I got to get on the horn to you to do your job. So this is why I won't be keeping my business with you guys. All right. And he's like, well, I appreciate your candor. I'm like, hey, I'm sure you're nice. I'm nothing against you, but your staff sucks. Your staff is costing you money. And it's costing me money, which is in turn costing my investors money. And I don't play around with that. Okay. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Nicole, for posting out. Each session is recorded as well. So we like to break it up in every 45 to 90-minute sessions. We don't like to go longer than 90 minutes before we take a break to let everybody get out and go from there. But yeah, all our workshops are recorded, and Nicole does a great job of getting those things up by the following Thursday or Friday for those that missed sessions during the weekend as well. So we just try to keep it simple. Keep it simple, everybody. Life is so much easier if you have things as simple. Now, don't get me wrong. Do we have crazy things that happen here all the time? My God, yes, we do. We have things, we got to do this, we got to do that. It is what it is. I can guarantee that Greg and Nicole and Jen and stuff, well, I'll tell you, it's never a dull day here for the most part. If it's a dull day, it's usually a Friday afternoon or something like that. But they're constantly doing a lot of the same things over and over again. And that's what I think everybody strives for in their business, is trying to keep it simple, whether it's your marketing, whether it's your events you're attending, whether it's your business model, whether it's the assets you're bidding on, try to keep it simple. And you try to keep your systems and your solutions simple. Keep your vendors, hold them accountable to trying to keep things simple. If they make it difficult every time you buy a note, if you fill out a piece of paper, that's not an effective thing at all. Okay. Yeah, Steph says if it's a dull day, there's something wrong. It's never dull, all right? That's a beautiful thing, okay? I get a phone call this morning from a bar. Hey, okay, great, let's figure it out. Did you give me his name? Didn't give me the address. There's not much I can do to help the guy, all right? And we have people that call all the time. They're excited that bought their loan. They're excited to be able to talk to somebody. They've got payments ready to roll, and it's the coordination of that. Sometimes, like I said before, I compared the note business to being like your own general manager, of your own franchise. And you're going to pick out your coaches, or you're the head coach. You're going to pick your players, and you're going to run plays. Your linemen, we'll use football as an analogy here. You've got a running back, you've got wide receivers, and you're not the quarterback, you're the head coach. And your quarterback could be either your servicing company or your attorneys that are really kind of facilitating what happens with your linemen and your offense, and also your defense too, okay? But that's why you want to run a simple scheme to make things run easily. And you see this, a great analogy, you see something that's complicated in the NFL, they don't usually have, it takes a while for that offense to gel together and come together. It takes a while for them to be successful. Same thing as a note business. If you run a really complicated, crazy business model and make it really difficult on the front end, you're not going to have success. It's going to take longer of success because you've got all these hurdles that you've put in front of yourself that you've got to knock down. Easiest thing to do is buy some assets, work through your systems, hone your assets, hone your systems, hone your vendors. What do I do? Document everything. Give your employees or your staff specific lists of what they do. And that's one of the things that we have done. It's like, okay, if we're looking at assets, here's a list. Go this, and this is the way to go. That's why checklists are a great way. If you're going to the workshop this weekend, you're going to get several checklists of what you're doing due diligence-wise, short and long, okay? And exit strategy, what's the flow of a deal? Where can it possibly go? And working through that, okay? Anybody got any questions out there that are watching on Facebook Live? If you're listening on iTunes and Stitcher, thank you so much for listening. Please feel free to share this out there. Please leave a review. We love reviews. It gives us an idea of what we're working on. Love emails. You can always reach me at scott@weclosenotes.com as well. We're really, really excited the amount of success that we have with the podcast and all the great comments we get from our listeners out there. So we love our listeners, and we've got some cool things in the works as little kind of perks to some of our listeners as well, as we'll be out traveling the first of the year and some different things, and really looking forward to 2018. Remember, 2017 has been a great year, and we've actually helped simplify some things, make it a lot more fun, a lot more easy. Good morning, Decito. Good morning, Israel. Good to see you guys listening and watching out there in the Facebook audience. But guys, there are some things that I get. Let me give you guys some tools and places. There's some great things. One, Bigger Pockets is a great way to ask questions out there. I do troll Bigger Pockets, see what people are saying and questions, and jump in and answer as best I can when I've got the opportunity. Our WCN Crew Facebook page. My gosh, if you are a student of ours, the WCN Crew Facebook page is phenomenal. All right. Great way. And that audience is growing rapidly with our past and present students as well. But it's a great networking, great message board for people to ask questions, network, share stories. Big shout out to Cody Cox getting a couple more bids accepted. Big shout out to Laura and JW Bullock, who closed on 8 or 9 deals recently. So big shout out to them. Very proud of them. Good to see you too, buddy, out there, Israel. Morning, Adam. Let's see a question here. Donald asked a question. When are y'all coming back to Houston? Well, I was in Houston yesterday. Funny thing, I'm sitting here yesterday, coming in the office. We didn't have an episode yesterday. I was getting ready to record an episode, and I got sidetracked with something, and I saw Quest IRA, one of our sponsors. Quest IRA, phenomenal. And I see Nathan gets on, does his daily, Wednesday webinar on Facebook. I'm listening, watching there, and I say, hey, look forward to see if their flyer pop up for their ugly sweater, ugly Christmas sweater party they're having. Hey, great to see you. Well, my staff's like, hey, the thing you mentioned is tonight. It's Wednesday night, not Thursday night. And I'm thinking, oh, I got a thing on Thursday. And they say, no, it's Wednesday night. I'm like, oh, crap. So I look at the thing. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's tonight. Crap. So I jump in the truck and run home, change, shower, and call my trainer and say, hey, I'm going to miss today. We had a special thing we planned for Quest. And run to the store to get that stuff, come back. Staff does a good job putting it together real fast. We customized some champagne bottles for everybody at Quest, for all it's a whole staff, 75, 76 people. And so I run to Houston, like, I can't be late for the party, Well, I arrive about 4:30, and they're just setting up. I'm like, it's party tonight? I'm like, no, the party in Dallas is tonight, silly, not the Houston one. Houston's party is tonight, Thursday night, not last night I was there. I'm like, well, I'm a buffoon. So, but it's still a chance to hang out with Ingrid and Anne Marie and B and the whole great staff over there and visit with them and help them some things. But, yeah, I was supposed to be I was in Houston yesterday for 3 hours, not headed back tonight because of the class. So it is what it is. Michelle, did I get a discount code for the January event yet? Not yet. Sorry. We did talk about that, Michelle, after you talking about the virtual event that Quest is putting on. They'll be sending that over to me actually today or tomorrow. Okay. Let's see here. Question here. Steph says, we were so ready for this with props and everything, but it all went haywire. And yes, Steph was stuck in Tucson on a kitty rescue. Okay. Never dull trying to get some things done here, but it is what it is. That's about all I've got for you guys today. Look, if you can do anything, try to find the easiest way to keep it simple, because often the simplest method is going to be the best way for you. If you make things complicated and overthinking, overanalyzing, it's just going to make it more difficult for you, your staff, your vendors, and your investors to understand what the heck you're trying to do. I see people that have posted spreadsheets, screenshots or spreadsheet, and you can't even read it because it's too spread out. Look, at that point, you probably need to pick up the phone and give me a phone call and let me work you through your ROI calculator and make it simple for you. Because if you're not buying a lot of assets because you're overanalyzing things, you're either A, looking at assets that are too expensive, or you're overanalyzing, adding way too much costs for things on the front end. Okay? So I want to wish everybody a great day. Go out and make something happen. We won't have an episode on Friday because we have our virtual workshop. And so I'm looking forward to spending 3 days with 200 plus note investors online as we help them find their way to the top. So for those of you out there that will be joining us, great. You still get signed up by going to weclosenotes.com. Our next workshop won't be till March, though, so keep that in mind. Opportunity, and like I said, it is recorded. So if you can't make all full 3 days, don't worry. You'll be able to catch the replays the following week. So Israel asked, when are you coming to events in Dallas? We are probably going to swing up there. I'm probably going to swing up there next week just for a day, meet with some friends on some stuff, some business stuff, may swing by the Quest office and say hey there and check out their new digs there. But guys, I'm trying not to travel as much. I'm trying to stay home as best as I can here because we have so much stuff that we're working on. Let's see here. Like if I look, January is basically booked. We'll be here. February, you'll be in Vegas, New York, maybe Dallas for the third weekend, and then San Diego for the end of February for the Traffic and Conversion Summit. So, but anyway, guys, go out and make something happen. Asal Drag, hey, buddy, good morning. Good to see you. Way to kick some butt out in Dallas and doing some great things as a realtor. I see. I watch out for you, man. And then Jose, good morning. So, guys, go out and make something happen, and we'll see you all at the top, everybody. Bye. Thanks for listening.